Welcome to the Post-4 All-Season Sports Show. I'm Drew Rubenstein. I'm joined by publisher Dave Raese. And Dave, this is a conversation we've had a little bit ongoing in the newsroom. WVU is getting ready. They're in the works of trying to get a Rod Hundley statue. This will be the second WVU statue to be up at one of the major facilities. The first, obviously, being Jerry West that went up a number of years ago, almost 10 years ago now. Let's start right there, though. Do you agree that these two players are the first that deserve to have statues, or does someone else come to mind?
In basketball, obviously Jerry West, I think of maybe all athletes at Western University, is probably the one that comes to mind first for a statue. And I think it was a good idea. I mean, it looks nice out there and everything else. The second statue, probably if you're talking basketball, would be, Hot Rod Hundley, only because, he was the clown prince of basketball for college basketball. And I wish I'd have seen some of his antics, but, and he didn't have a great pro career. And, but still, Hundley is a player that everybody talks about. If you're going to have a second one for basketball team, he would probably be the guy.
You mentioned if you're going to have one for basketball, he's the guy. What about when you start opening it up to just WVU athletics? Who are some names that come up that maybe are in consideration, maybe even should get one before Hot Rod?
Well, there's a lot of good athletes have come through, and I think that's the problem when you start building statues. If you start, where do you stop? And I think they could stop at Jerry West. I don't think anybody would have any problems, particularly in basketball. But if you start branching out to other sports, then you're going to open up. You're going to have a lot of statues, and you have so many sports, and it'd be hard to draw the line,
What are your thoughts on statues in sports in general? You see it at some places. There's the Michael Jordan one, obviously, in Chicago. Kansas State has one of Bill Snyder, who's still coaching the Wildcats. Is this something that you like, or do you think this is something that should be reserved for very elite, or what are kind of your thoughts?
I definitely think it should be saved for the very elite. Like I say, a lot of the major league parks now are building statues. You go anywhere to the baseball or something, and they usually have 3 to 4 to 5, and like I say, you don't know where it's going to stop, and I always think, like when you watch these all the turmoil in the countries now, the dictators put up statues of themselves, and that's always the first thing they yank down and stuff when they take over. I mean, Saddam Hussein's and all the ones they had in Russia of Lenin and those people like that. So, maybe that's not a good sign to have statues like that. I don't think it ever happened to Jerry West or anybody else. Of course, you also have Joe Paterno's statue that's
right
somewhere buried in the bowels of Penn State somewhere. So
right,
you just never know about statues and things like that. And so I'm not big on statues. I think today's day and age, money could be better spent, but that's just me.
Is it a bigger honor? Does it mean more than having like a number retired or a jersey retired?
I'd say they're about equal.
Okay.
I think having your number retired definitely would be, definitely an honor and stuff, because that's usually reserved definitely for the best. And again, pro sports or other places, a lot of them have rings of honor around the stadium and things like that. I think Pitt has a big one. I remember I was up there one time, and it's a nice thing to bring back these guys and recognize them and give them honors and things like that. But again, like I say, if you start retiring too many numbers, you're not going to have any left. And like we were just discussing before, now we have football players with 2 guys with the same number on the team. So you're already getting a number shortage as it is.
You mentioned the football stadium. I guess that's the next place I wanted to take it. Is should they be doing more at Mountaineer Field? For the typical fan experience, I know I've heard a couple times, other than Sam Huff and Ira Rogers' numbers in the one end zone, there's not much there. You don't really, a typical fan on a game day doesn't see anything about Don Nealon, Major Harris, Pat White. Is a statue the way to go, or are there other things that they should be doing around the stadium?
I think people enjoy pictures, and commemorative, like Pat White, and maybe after the Fiesta Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. I think people like to, sort of look like almost like a museum type thing, and I think they have a lot of space in the boughs under the seats back there that maybe they could put some things up. But they put a plaque up for Bill Stewart, but
right.
That's they could have some things out there. I think that would be nice for the fans.
But I guess to wrap up and just to be clear, it seems like you're looking at it more long-term wise, and the biggest thing is set some sort of criteria, have something in place so that you're not in a situation where You're having to build a ton of statues because it should be safe for the very elite, and it seems like you need criteria
Yeah,
to
I think,
do that.
like I said, they're safe for Jerry West. I don't think anybody doubts that.
Right.
When you start going to other players, then, well, what about so-and-so, and what about so-and-so? And you're going to have battles on your hands and a lot of statues, maybe.
Absolutely. Dave, I appreciate your
Thank
time,
you.
and thanks for tuning in to thedpost.com. Please continue to check our website for all the latest on the Mountaineers. Appreciate you watching today.